Good morning, everybody. I often listen to and usually enjoy Thought for the Day on Radio Ulster in the mornings. Can't promise this will be Radio Ulster standard, but here goes. Clive asked me to read and share a few thoughts on Luke 10. That's the famous story of the Good Samaritan. As you'll probably know, the theme for these mornings is around fruits of the Spirit, and the focus for this week is on love. So the Good Samaritan is certainly one of my favourite stories in the Bible, maybe just pipped at the post by the story of the woman at the well. But let's hear the story from Luke 10, verses 25 to 37, and I'm reading from the NIV. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbour?" And in reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return I will reimburse you for any extra expenses you may have." Which of these three do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." I love this parable because it is just a simple, practical story of love. I know round the edges theologians might interpret it in different ways, the meanings of some of the details. However, the core of the story is just about straightforward, get your hands dirty love. There are a few things that struck me when I read and had a look more at the detail of the story. Number one, it was an expert on the law asking the questions. I imagine this like a courtroom drama, a cross-examination of Jesus, as if he was in the dock on trial. But Jesus' answers were so thought-provoking and so challenging and so clever, and in reality as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. Secondly, Jesus used a Samaritan in the story. Now, Samaritans were hated by the Jews for centuries. Maybe in a modern day equivalent, Jesus might have used the example of someone we would least expect to do or help someone in need. You can think of who that might be from the people or who you know. The Samaritan's care was sacrificial, not superficial. He gave first aid, a lift to the man on his donkey, which meant he had to walk, much time, much love, and much money. 2 denarii was 2 days' pay, and there was more promised if needed. That was sacrificial, not superficial. So as we head out into our day, where might we come across someone on the side of our day's journey today? They may not be beaten up physically, but maybe beaten up mentally, or lonely, or worried, or not well. The list's endless. I confess too often that I am like the Levite or the priest who walks on as we half justify in our heads some vague excuse or defence for not stopping or taking time to listen and to help. Often, if we just stop and think, we will all know lots of people that are on the side of the road in their lives and really need God's love shown to them. So my challenge this morning to you and to me is to simply reflect on Jesus' summing up about the deeds of the Good Samaritan. Go and do likewise. Thank you for listening.